we've it's been a little while since we've just been me and you here.
Yeah.
We've had guests we had Steve Kinker from Kinker Taxidermy in. We've had Jeremy Flynn from Stone Road Media. We've had Chad Belding on the phone.
Yep.
Yeah, we kind of got into the guest thing, and it's
which I don't hate.
No, I love it. People seem to like it too. So yeah, that's a great thing. But it's kind of nice just to be back and talk, just two of us.
Yeah, and we got a lot of stuff going on, personally, professionally anyway. So I feel like we have a lot to cover that we haven't been able to get to in the last few weeks.
We do, and your podcast haircut is nice.
Thank you.
A nice touch.
She messed it up a little bit, but I can live with it.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Well, here's the thing. We're now third week of July. Season starting in earnest now. I think after the 4th of July, hunters are ready to get going. They're a little antsy. They're a little ready to get out to the lease and at least walk around or go out to your public ground areas. And the Outdoor Channel, the Sportsman's Channel, begin airing their new programs, and that really seems to amp things up. So I know you and I are planning on going out on Sunday. Here in the Midwest, we had a real problem with getting corn planted. I mean, it was so wet.
You had to call the landowner just to see if they were going to plant.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. It was so wet for so long. I mean, the farmers just couldn't get in the fields.
Right.
And we were kind of up against it. Now I'm sure they would have planted beans.
Yeah.
But it was beans last year. We were kind of looking forward to hunting corn this year. And then lo and behold, I went out there 10 days ago, 12 days ago.
Week and a half or so.
Yeah. And we've got corn 3 inches tall. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean,
you were
it's
talking,
amazing what they do.
You were talking to someone about how late they planted the corn on our fields, and I guess it was my understanding that they would just have to harvest it later, but that doesn't sound like that's the case.
I'm not a farmer, but of course, we have a good friend that knows all about that kind of stuff. There's 100-day corn, so they could plant corn that matures in 100 days. It would be mature, and then it just counts on being dry enough. It's got to be dry enough for them to be able to harvest it, and the combine not get bogged down. So, yeah, he says we'll be fine.
Normal
he says
schedule.
probably pretty normal actually.
Good.
But yeah, what I really liked was it's beans next door to us.
Yeah.
And so we've got to stand right on one particular trail.
Yep.
100 yards, if that, from the timber. So they're going to walk through the corn.
Yeah.
And I promise you, when we're in that stand, if you're not paying attention, you look up, they'll be standing there. There'll be one stand there going his way to the beans.
I feel really good because we went out. We took, I believe Connor, took Connor out, and he helped us move that stand closer to that trail that you're talking about. And the more I think about it, how many deer we saw there last season, it feels like the spot to be. Yeah,
and since the rifles are legal here in Indiana now, we still can reach out and touch them on the trail that we were on.
Where we had it originally, it was just a gun stand.
Yes.
And now it's more of there's definitely an opportunity with a bow in that stand where it's at now.
And it's a better gun stand.
Yeah.
Because now we can actually reach back where we were. So that's a good thing. And I was just talking to Tom James here a little bit ago from Base Camp Country Real Estate, and we were talking about, showed him a picture of the lease. I'm like, this is what we're thinking, but this food plot, if it were here, what do you think? And he was like, he wasn't very high on it.
Yeah.
And he said, how about this? He goes, how about in a couple of these little coves, once the corn starts to really get up, high enough.
Because we just got to hold them for just a little bit.
Yeah, he said walk through with a hand sprayer about every 4th or 5th row for 3 or 4 rows. And he said, you're not doing anything to corn. The corn's fine. It'll grow. And then when they come by and combine the corn, all of a sudden, there you go. You got a bit of a little mini food plot.
It's funny when you talk to Tom about stuff like that. He makes it seem so simple. And then I wonder, am I overcomplicating this, or is he just that knowledgeable on this topic that it just seems effortless when he just comes up with a plan like that?
It's years of experience. And that's probably the thing I've learned since I've gotten a little older. When I was younger, if I saw somebody do something, I'm like, well, if they can do it, I can do it.
Right. I still get that way.
That's because you're younger.
Yeah.
I now can admit, I can see a lot of different people in different walks of life. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I cannot do that. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And so it's just I have a much better, more appreciation for years of experience, natural talent, and I'm talking about professional athletes. Aside from dunking a basketball, I still see things. I'm like, I could do that.
Dude, a little side note, I was up for the 4th of July. I went up northern Indiana and spent time with my family and my brother and his wife and kid and stuff. And the UFC fights were on Saturday night, and my mom and my stepdad are not fight fans. And my stepdad, he's a golf guy. He's very passive. He just doesn't, it's not his thing.
Two polar opposites.
Right, I know. And, he was watching some of these smaller guys fight, like the 135ers and stuff. And I'm 250 pounds. I'm 6'1", 250. I'm a big guy. And he's telling me, he's like, there's no way that a 135-pound guy fighting that cage would win a fight against you. And I'm like, I'm telling you. There's levels to it. They would kill me. They would wreck me. But that's me understanding like, oh, I just can't do certain things, because the arrogant approach would be like, oh yeah, you're 140 pounds. I can do whatever I want. That's just not the case. So it's funny to hear Tom talk about food plot stuff, because it's like, oh, all he has to do is just throw seed down. I can do that. But there's so much more nuance in it, and he just effortlessly describes it.
Yeah, I thought it was a great idea. I've been hunting a while. I've never heard of that.
Right.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, that's a great idea. I always thought when I would watch women's basketball when I was 30-ish this is true. I still hold this, that me and four of my buddies could have beat any WNBA team.
You think so?
I do. I do back then. Two things have happened. One, I've gotten old and I can't jump over a phone book. Two, the women have gotten way better.
They're way better.
So there's no way. It's kind of funny to see that kind of stuff. But before we get started, now that I know we're hanging stands on Sunday, we have to mention tree stand safety.
Yeah.
I think, as I recall, when I had a Tree Stand Safety Foundation meeting a couple weeks ago, that the reported deaths for tree stand falls last year was single digits. That's fantastic.
It's going in the right direction.
That absolutely is going in the right direction, and hopefully it continues to do that. But I want to take just a second. If you're going to hang stands here in the next couple of weeks, first of all, the ABCs, always check your stands, buckle up, in your harness.
Connect.
What's the C?
Connect.
Before
you leave the ground.
Connect on your lifeline. I'm on the board. I probably should remember that. But the other thing is inspect all your straps. That's what I want to touch on today real quick is just if you're hanging stands, check them out. When you go out there, take a little small monkey wrench or crescent wrench, take a socket set, and when you go up, if you did not take your stands down, as you go up, connect it to your lifeline, tighten the bolts, check the straps, the squirrels, the weather, it's all going to degrade the straps and the cables themselves. The first time you put your weight on one of those and it just like a trap door opens up, you're in trouble. So, just inspect your stands, your ladders, your straps, wear a harness, even when you're hanging a stand, and just be careful because it's that time of year where people are starting to get back out there.
It's a preventative thing that it takes a little bit of effort. And look, most of the tree stands guys have, inexpensive or not, they're well built, More than likely, nothing's wrong with it. But do yourself the favor of just checking, because then you have the peace of mind. You don't have to worry about it, and you can just go on about your business, whether you're planting a food plot or whatever the case is. That stand is good to go when you come back in the fall and you want to get into it.
Yeah, and I would strongly encourage you to not cut any corners nothing more infuriates me more than hanging a stand and having one thing not quite right. We didn't have a pull rope, so I just left it. And then when you come back in the middle of October, you climb up, you get to your tree stand like, God darn it, I forgot we didn't put a pull rope on this one.
Dude, I took the seat cushion off of one of them and I forgot to put it back.
It's another thing.
Oh.
Yeah, it's painful.
It's miserable.
So
I don't even really love sitting in for extended periods of time anyways, and just sitting on a metal grate. Forget about it, dude.
I just take off my jacket or something, sit on that. But it's you get organized, man. Just set everything you need for a complete set together. And when you get out there, you just take it all out there together, and it'll save you in the long run. I know that for sure. So, a little bit about cameras. I bought a covert cell camera. Mm-hmm. I hung it on our Indiana lease. My plan is to take it to the Kentucky lease.
Yeah. Do we have anything on that yet? You've not given any updates, which makes me think we're striking out.
We're striking out. Here's the thing. I put it in an area where there's not a ton of deer traffic. Okay. I get it, but it was easy to get to, easy to get out, and it's just trial. It's just there to test. When I've sent it a signal from my phone to take a picture, it works just fine. So now I don't know if there's maybe just no deer have come through there or what.
Something else maybe.
Yeah, we'll check it out. We're going to go down there on Sunday, so we'll check that out. But I've always been iffy on cell cameras because the last thing I need is a bunch of notifications or to be checking the camera while we're at work every day. And think, especially when season starts, think,
Yeah, I mean,
I gotta go.
Yeah,
I need to get down there.
yeah. Too much of it feels like it would give you too much of an impulse to just drop what you're doing and
Always.
and just go in. We're going to the time of the year in the third quarter and fourth quarter where, when we can get away from everything we have going on with the association, when we can get away, we really try to make sure that everything's good when we step out of the office. So that just for me would probably be too much of a temptation, I think.
It is. I mean, and it will be, but especially in Kentucky, I can't get down there
to
check them. So we'll see. Hopefully it works. But the perfect segue into what we're going to talk about for the bulk of the podcast today. That's the association. That's the American Hunting Lease Association, and what we're doing to make things, frankly, easier, better, and more affordable for the hunters that use us and that are members.
Yep.
So we've talked about the survey, quote unquote, the survey that we did. And let me just kind of reiterate a little bit what we did. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service completed a survey back in 2016, published the numbers, published it. We're down 2 million hunters. Fair enough. The report itself was not biased. It's just a survey, and they just reported the numbers. Mm-hmm. The hunting industry went a little crazy, I think, in the decline.
Yep.
And I've got a lot of thoughts on that, and we'll do a whole podcast one day where we just talk about the survey. So this is just going to be a little sneak peek into what the small survey that we did, and what we found out. One of the areas that the hunting industry believes is a problem or partially responsible is hunter access.
And this is a notion that we picked up on before we did the survey. So this is just what we've seen online with interactions, conversations that we've had with a few people, or just a general sentiment around access in general. Right. So going into, I think it's important to note that going into the survey, we weren't trying to prove or disprove anything. We just wanted to see what results we would get when it comes to hunter access and questioning people about it.
Right. Because what we heard was, and we've seen, the National Deer Alliance, who we support, great group.
Yep.
We've had Nick Penizzato on the podcast. They've got a hunter access committee that's looking into this. I don't know of any hunter access information that's out there. I mean, I do what everybody does. I Googled it. I looked for it.
Right.
I don't see it. So when people say, "Oh, hunter access is a problem," or "hunter access is not a problem," how do you know?
Yeah, how do we know?
You just feel like it is. You heard enough people complain about public land, or this person lost their land to somebody who wanted to lease it, or this landowner sold their land, so now you quit hunting.
It's all anecdotal, and it becomes situational. A guy lost his lease to someone who wanted to pay, or whatever. Landowner sold the land, whatever the case was. A guy loses his access to property. He thinks access becomes an issue, when in reality, you look at the big picture, it might not be.
That's 100% right. It's emotional. It's an emotional response. They're pissed. They're upset. So people are like, "Oh my gosh, well that must be a big problem. That's why we're losing hunters." Let's say this. Not so fast.
Right.
Let's just back up. Let's ask hunters what they think of the way they access their hunting ground, and then let's report on it, plain and simple. And that's what we did.
Yep.
So, yeah, the survey itself, and again, I don't want to go too deep into it, but the survey itself was very specific about how do you access your the way you hunt.
Yep.
And then we kind of probed a little bit deeper on how do you like it? How satisfied are you? How unsatisfied are you? What would you change if you could? And what we found out, by and large, was most of them are pretty happy with it.
Whatever, and that's whether they're leasing private land, they hunt private for free, they're hunting public.
They own the land.
They own it, and they hunt it. More times than not, they're happy with their situation.
Well, yeah, overwhelmingly.
Overwhelmingly. So I think it was pretty interesting. I know you've dug into the results more than I've even had a chance to. So I'm kind of looking forward to your finished report. And I know we're almost at the last stage, but just everything that I've seen and we've talked about in passing makes me think exactly what you just said. Not so fast. Maybe there's a different narrative here that we need to have a discussion about.
I feel like there is. The obvious question is, well, you guys are into leasing. Of course, you're going to do a survey that's pro leasing. No. We honestly didn't. And I can tell you this, I got better things to do than to take on an entire survey.
Right.
We've never done that, but neither is anybody else.
Right.
And there are associations and organizations out there with far more resources than we have that could have done this at any time.
Right.
Nobody did.
And we were in a position where we had industry partners that were not. We are the Hunting Lease Association. So there's a large portion of our contacts and people that we deal with that that do lease, just
Sure.
by the nature of what we
Sure.
do. But that's why we also made it a point to reach out to our partners in the industry and say, hey, can we get this survey in front of your people? Because these are not leasing people. They're people who like to use an app, or they're people who like a certain product, and it has nothing to do with leasing, but these are people who hunt. So getting their opinion was more valuable in my opinion than, even just tapping into our own database of customers.
It certainly was. And it's very telling. And any business and any industry needs to know your customers. Now, in the leasing industry in particular, there has never been nobody knows the numbers. How many acres are leased? How many people enjoy a hunting lease? We don't know. One of the problems, that I found was the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in their survey, they count money spent on purchasing land and leasing land in the same category.
Totally different thing.
It's the opposite. It's the alternative to owning your own land is leasing land. So
Right.
we would have no idea how to read into that. My guess is it's mostly, well, I don't know. I mean, it would be a guess.
It's almost impossible to read into that, and that statistic on its own, people can interpret it so many ways. But the minute you lump in purchasing land and owning land and leasing land, like you said, it's not the same thing. Leasing is the alternative because not everybody is in a position, like you said, yourself included, to own and maintain a piece of property. So you lease.
Right, and I will continue to lease. I'm thrilled with the process, obviously, but frankly, we leased a piece of ground 2 years ago. It sucked. It wasn't worth a darn.
Yep.
And yeah, that's unfortunate. But I mean, I've had bad meals. I've had all kind of bad experiences.
Right. I think that's just taking a true, objective look at what happened in that situation with us and going, that's not a symptom of leasing being a bad thing. It could be a number of different things. It was maybe we were in the wrong location. Maybe the landowner wasn't easy to work with. Maybe I didn't communicate. Whatever the case is.
None of those were true, by the way.
I know. I'm just giving examples, but I'm just saying there are other factors that go into why that specific situation didn't work for that group of hunters, and that doesn't mean it's a leasing issue.
Correct. Yeah, and we just got out of it.
Right.
And I think so far my process when it comes to leasing is to lease for a year, and then if I don't like something, then I kind of either look for something new.
Yeah.
But I never jump into a lease and plant food plots and hang dozens of stands and let's just check it out for a year.
That's why we're just now starting to dabble in that this year because this is our second year on the property. So
exactly. So one of the other things, and I'll talk about hunter decline briefly, is that there was the survey from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service said that we lost 2 million-ish hunters. I think it was 2.1 or something like that. What they report in the body of the report, but not in the numbers, is that 1.5 million kids under the age of 16 went hunting. So to me now, just that in particular, that says, well, yeah, we lost 2 million out of the top,
right,
but we gained 75% of that are coming back.
Right.
So, I don't want to. I love the hunter recruitment stuff. I'm all for it. I think it should happen anyway. But I think we should recruit quality hunters. Not that quality is the wrong word.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Responsible hunters.
And I also think that I just kind of lost my train of thought, but I also think that number, the way you described it, when you start talking about 2.1 million, that's a big number. There's like a shock value that gets put on that because the way as simple as I think, I go, if I could put 2 million people in a room and say all these people are not hunting anymore, of course you're going to be like, wow, that's a ton. I mean, we obviously have an issue here if this many people are falling out, but we've basically recouped it in youth hunting. And then we still have a core group of people who are going to continue to hunt their entire lives. So just hearing the 2 million number, naturally you're going to be like, wow, maybe we have an issue here. But like we've been saying a million times, maybe we don't. Maybe everything isn't as catastrophic as a big number like that would suggest.
No, and I'll tell you where my mind is going with this. And again, we'll continue some other time, but I don't want more hunters around us on our lease.
That's an interesting conversation that I definitely I don't think this podcast, I think it probably needs its own dedicated
yeah, it does.
time.
And so if you're listening or watching, chew on this for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then think about, on the next podcast we talk about this, and it'll probably be the next one. If you ask anybody in the hunting industry, do we need more hunters? Oh, yeah.
100%.
Absolutely. We need more. It's dying. Okay. Well, do you want more hunters on your property or on the property surrounding your property? Oh, no. I don't want any more. Okay. Well, you can't have them both.
You know what's interesting? I feel like, and I brought this up when we did the survey. I had one of the questions on there was, a couple of the questions relate to how do you view hunting and how do you currently and why are you passionate about it? And then what do you see the future of hunting being? And, the way some of these guys answered, overwhelmingly, they all said they want it to pass on from generation to generation and grow and more hunters. My first thing is land's a finite resource.
Sure.
We're not making any more of it. So there's going to be an inflection point where you can't have any more hunters unless you're willing to have a different hunting experience personally, because the more bodies you put out there, it's just going to change. It's going to change it.
It's game too. There's a limited amount of game.
Right.
Every state manages their deer herd, if you're talking about deer.
Right.
And so there's not that many running around. And if you've got one particular buck running around your area, you don't want more hunters.
Right. I don't think, I want to make this very clear. I don't think saying that or acknowledging that is an elitist attitude. It's not.
Oh.
I mean, that's just the reality of the situation, because most guys in a public setting would say, I want the sport of hunting to grow and continue and stay healthy. That's true. Same for me. But if I'm being 100% honest, would I be thrilled if 3 or 4 hunters set up on the tree line of our property next to us? No, I wouldn't like that.
That's the problem with counting licenses, which is how they got the number. How many licenses were sold? So if you take a hunter who, by the way, has every right to do this, but he's just going to hunt opening day of shotgun season or rifle season, and he goes and buys a tag and a license, and then he goes and sits on the stump and, doesn't see anything, or maybe kills a doe or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's done hunting again. Right. He's done for the year. Is that what you want? I mean, is that who we're trying to recruit into the sport? Is that person going to pass on the tradition? Is he going to carry the flag for hunting? Probably not.
No.
He just wants some venison.
Right.
Again, it's his or her right. I have no problem with that. But as an industry, I feel like we're better off recruiting hunters that are going to be more engaged in the industry and in the sport. And so I think there's probably a number of hunters that we should be happy with. And I've told you this before. The only reason hunting industry people want more hunters is why?
Money.
They have something to sell them.
Yeah.
I've got a product and I want more people to buy it. That's why I want more hunters.
Right.
And that there's some that want this, they are concerned about the sport.
100%.
I get it. I dig it. That's not what we're talking about.
But at the end of the day, a guy making scent proof clothing, the bigger the market is, the more opportunity he's going to have.
Business.
And that's just business. And I get that. But, there's a lot of nuance that goes into this conversation.
Sure, there is.
And I can feel us going down the rabbit hole.
are.
But, the last thing I'll say about it is the guys who are hunting, and we've talked about that, how the perception is access may be the issue. Maybe it's just an unwillingness to understand or update your mindset to what it takes to get that access. And I think that's a big thing. I cannot, and I've still not heard a good argument for this. I cannot understand why someone would be offended by a landowner wanting monetary compensation for access to their property.
Well, we share that. I don't understand it either.
I've not heard anybody yet I've never heard an opinion about it, and I go, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's you use the golf analogy all the time. You're going to buy clubs and gear and shoes and balls and tees and all these things. You think you're just going to walk out on a golf course for free and just start golfing? It just doesn't. On some level, we have to change our thinking about what it takes to get access to property.
Okay, I think I have a better analogy. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
This occurred to me here about a week ago. If you ask a girl out on a date, and finally that girl that you've dying to take out finally says yes, or you got up the courage and you said yeah, you ask her out, she's like, yeah, Love to.
Okay.
And then you go out and you get your hair cut and you buy the nice looking shoes and some designer jeans and a cool looking shirt. You get your car all washed and waxed and you're ready to go and you go pick her up. She says, "Where are we going?" I'm like, "Well, I can only afford McDonald's, so I guess we have to go to McDonald's."
Right.
Because those, I don't know why.
I don't know why they'd charge me for food.
I don't know why they charge me so much for good food.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you spent all your money. You decided to spend it all on things that didn't really matter when it comes to showing her a good time.
Yeah.
You want a second date, you're not going to get one. Improve the experience.
Right.
Why would you spend money on everything except where the deer live?
Yeah.
Before you do that, it doesn't make sense to me. And I get it, man. The people haven't thought that way. But in all honesty, they have. I mean, again,
They just don't like it.
They just don't like it.
And I feel like as we're saying these things out loud and I'm starting to process them, I feel like it's going to go back to, well, you're making it a rich man's sport. Well, we're already spending $40 billion a year anyways on it. So how much more of a rich man's sport do you think it can possibly become? And you've talked about it before. The key is prioritizing what you want out of your hunting experience. Do you want high-end thousands and thousands of dollars of new gear every year that you can just look cool in? Or do you actually want a true opportunity to hunt and hunt quality game and have safely and have private access to property and because it's there for you?
Yeah, and it's really hundreds of dollars will get you on it with a couple buddies.
Oh, 100%.
Will get you a quality lease.
Yeah.
It really will. So great segue into what I want to talk about. Several things came out in the survey, came to light. None of them shocked me, but a couple of them were surprising. One of the comments that we got, threads, or one of the common comments was, leasing's too expensive. Leasing's too expensive. It's almost like I'm good with leasing, but I can't afford that. That's too much.
And I understand, and I don't mean to cut you off. I do understand in certain scenarios, there are leases. There are leases I can't afford, you can't afford.
Right.
Just because there are expensive leases doesn't mean leasing is expensive.
Correct.
It's you can walk into a Walmart.
100% agree.
You can walk into a Walmart and buy a $500 or $600 item, or you can buy a $10 or $20 item. You have options. You're not stuck with just expensive $50 an acre leases. Those do exist.
I could go buy a 2005 F-150 right now. Suits my needs just fine.
Yep.
Or I can buy a 2019 one for 5 times the price.
100%.
Does exactly the same thing.
Right.
Exactly the same thing. So, it's all relative. It really is. But I wanted to address the expensive part. Because, frankly, that's what we do. That's why we're here. The American Hunting Lease Association was created on the fact, or the notion, that we can help people access quality habitat. If maybe you don't go through a broker. Maybe you've eyed that farm down the road, for years, and so we've created things like the ways, or the
front
secret,
porch kit,
the front porch
the
kit,
lease
the
agreement,
secret to accessing private land, all that kind of stuff. In addition to that, though, and we've made no bones about this, our association provides and sells a hunting lease liability insurance policy. Since I've been here going on 6 years, we've had to raise rates one time.
Yep.
Okay. We do everything we can to keep the price down. We do everything we can to make the process simple. Mm-hmm. And let me talk real quick about the cost down. We've always used and we've always provided a free lease agreement. Now, our lease agreement is, as we say, time tested. Hundreds of times somebody's like, "Well, I want my attorney to look at it." Absolutely,
go for it.
Look at it. If you in the past, if you'd purchased a insurance policy with us, you get free use of our lease agreement. And by use, I mean you could print one off somewhere, but with ours, you get on and you can type in all of your information specific to your lease, your landowner, the number of hunters, the price, any special requirements that your landowner has.
Yep.
You can hit print and you have a binding legal document that can be signed, and it helps with communication and everything. That has been free if you buy an insurance policy. A couple years ago, we decided to make it available to the public for $25. Mm-hmm. And that was fairly popular. There are people looking for that kind of a lease agreement.
Because it's worth more than $25.
Absolutely.
So people are willing to pay that for it.
It certainly is. Just a few weeks ago, we were just discussing it, and let's just make it free.
Right.
So our lease agreement, customizable, by the way, still is 100% free for anybody.
Yep.
If you need a lease agreement, we are putting our money where our mouth is. We support leasing. We support what it does to the sport. We support what it does to preserve habitat.
Yep.
We support what it does to support the landowners. We're going to make it as easy as possible. That lease agreement is now a standalone free product for anybody that wants it on our website.
It's on our website. You can go get it. And what's more credible than a fully customizable, lawyer-tested, proven, time-tested lease agreement? You walk up to a landowner with the front porch kit or whatever it is, and you say, hey, I have this document for you. That goes a long way, because landowners, they just want some reassurance, you know?
Sure.
They're understanding that is hunting a safe sport? 100%. It's one of the safest out there. Do things happen? They do. This is reality. Accidents occur. So by having some form of a lease agreement, if you choose to couple it with liability insurance, all you're doing is giving that landowner the peace of mind and allowing them to be okay with the idea of letting you access their property. That's it. So should we, in my opinion, should we charge $25 for the lease agreement? I think we should, because I think it's worth that and more. But I'm also okay making it free and available to anybody who wants to take advantage of it, because it is so valuable. And I know that it can promote leasing, and that's what we preach. So let's make it free.
Absolutely. What's the lease agreement do? Why is the lease agreement so important? Because it's communication. It is a written communication. You sit down with your landowner, say, now, okay, I've got 4 guys. Is that okay? Good. It's 4 people. It'll never be more than 4 unless you're okay with us bringing our kids, and most landowners are. What can we hunt? Okay, so you don't want us to use rifles within 300 yards of the house, the homestead. I get it.
Yep.
ATVs, just to hang stands and to retrieve game, I get it. Now, can I park a camper back there on that back 40?
Right.
Oh, fantastic. That's what that does. So there should be no surprises in the year that you lease this property. You guys all worked all that out, and then you signed the lease agreement.
3.5, 4 years ago when I first started, one of the first projects you and I did was shoot a video about what makes a hunting lease successful. I was 2 weeks in at this point. The first line you said was, it basically was communication is key. It's like, what makes a marriage successful? The same thing that makes a hunting lease successful, or vice versa. It's communication. It's open communication, having expectations set, and everybody meets those expectations and works within those guidelines. That's what this lease agreement does.
That's exactly what it does. And we also talked in the same video that to successfully or to complete a successful hunting lease arrangement, what do you need? You need a lease agreement, and you need to address the landowners in particular assets, but everybody's risk. Mm-hmm. And you do that with an insurance policy, a hunting lease liability insurance policy. The coverages in this, you could go to QDMA and buy one. You could buy one from the NWTF. You could buy them from, who else? Buckmasters, or you can buy them from the American Hunting Lease Association. The coverages are almost identical,
and there's no reason in not bringing that up, because anybody can see that.
Right. And when I say almost identical, ours is a little better.
Yeah,
ours is actually, if you put your landowner on it, they're going to be a named insured with us, not an additional insured. I'm not going to get all the insurances there,
but there is a difference.
But there is a slight difference. Named insured, you enjoy a little bit higher level of coverage. The second thing is, you're going to have to purchase this policy. It's a master policy.
Yep.
If you don't know what that is, I'll explain it quickly. A master policy is one insurance policy that starts on a particular date, not your date whenever you call. Most of them start at August 1.
Yep.
So you can get on and you can buy it in September or October or July.
But you would have to buy that August policy, and it is not prorated.
Correct.
And we can't even prorate it. No one can.
Nobody can. The association or organization you're buying from typically has one policy, and you can get on it. So if you buy it in September, you get 11 months basically of coverage. But now, what happens when you get in November, or you get in January, or you get in May? Now it's tricky. If I got a lease in May and I want to get on it to hang stands, and I get on that last year's August policy,
you're up for renewal again.
You got to pay the full price, and then in 3 months you got to pay it again.
Yeah.
So Again, we're going to put our money where our mouth is. And we've added a couple policies over the last year, and we, for some reason, I just took a little step. I should have taken them all, and now we are. We have a monthly policy. So by that, what I mean, it's not last for a month. It's good for 1 year, but we have a start date on a master policy starting on the first of every single month.
Yep. So no matter when you call, if you need coverage the next day, you're only going to be missing out on a maximum of 3.5 weeks, basically.
Yeah, and if you can wait 3 or 4 days, you get a full thing.
Yeah, if you wait 3 or 4 days till the first next month, you get full coverage. And again, it's something that we decided to do. Really, you decided to do because, again, why not? There's no reason not to. Structurally for our admin team and you and me or whatever, it doesn't change anything for us. But it's so much more convenient for the hunter and the landowner. So why wouldn't we do that?
Yeah, and we should have. Everybody, I think, could. They just choose not to because it is kind of a hassle. Here's the difference between us and the groups I mentioned a minute ago. This is all we do.
Right.
Hunting leases is all we do.
Right.
We don't lease ground, by the way.
Nope.
We've got Lease Spotter, which you can find a lease, but that's a free service again. But no, we promote leasing, and so to that end, this is all we do. We've got an in-house web development team that, hey, you go to them and say, I need this to happen right here. And then we talk to our insurance partners, of course, and they're more than willing to help us out. They think it's a great idea. So what we're left with are members now that have more options.
Yep.
Not only do they have more options, that they're going to get full coverage. They're going to get a full 12-month value from their purchase with us. We're going to add up to 7 landowners to their policy.
No charge.
No charge. Another free service.
Yep.
Why would we do that? Because
it's unnecessary to gouge you for excessive landowner fees.
Exactly. That is exactly right. I would add that being the Hunting Lease Association, we understand how important it is for landowners to participate. So we're gonna require that they be listed as a named insured. If we require it, we're not going to charge you for it.
Right.
Back to what you said a second ago, it's touching a button. I'm not going to charge you $47, $35, or $20
to check a box.
Check a box.
That's what it is.
That's exactly what it is. And so, we've asked this in ads before. Why would you pay $47 or any other amount to add your landowner when we'll do it for no charge?
Right.
And the policy prior was cheaper. So the base policy is cheaper. We're going to add your landowners
no additional
charge.
fees.
You can get full value. You can get a free lease agreement. And why? Is the coverage different? I just mentioned that. No, ours is actually better than some.
Yeah.
Ours with QDMA, NWTF is identical.
Yep.
It's literally identical. With huntinginsurance.com, ours blows theirs away.
Yeah.
They've got a $1,000 med pay. Ours is a $5,000 med pay. And that's typically one of the most used benefits of our coverage. Why be limited to 1,000
for no reason?
For no reason.
Yeah. Just because they don't want to.
Right.
That person selling that policy just doesn't care enough to want to give you the best possible coverage.
Go to their carrier. Yeah.
I have these moments when we talk about hunting lease insurance where this is what we do every day and we're passionate about this. I can understand why this might come across as dry to some people, but I think you and I are kind of fired up about it because we're looking at everything that we've done and everything our competitors are doing, or I should say not doing. And like you said, you kind of take it personal when someone buys an insurance policy from somewhere else just because, you talk about time investment, cost investment. Nobody's beating us, and we've done that intentionally because the goal is to promote leasing. So why would buying insurance, why would we make that a hurdle in that process? It just doesn't make any sense. So, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with it. I just feel like this is the platform we're using now to explain some of the details that go into why.
This platform in and of itself costs us money.
Right.
But that's okay. It doesn't cost the members money. It doesn't cost anybody anything to download it. We want to bring value to you.
Maybe we should put a checkbox that we should raise our rates $30 on every policy, and it'll funnel into making the podcast.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's back up, and I want to talk about the couple of the organizations that we mentioned. Well, first of all is QDMA. We are not in any way, shape, or form anti-QDMA. And we think everybody should be a member.
Yeah.
And so to that end, I would recommend that you purchase your hunting lease liability insurance from us. You'll be saving roughly $75 on their minimum.
Yep.
And then take some of the 35 from that 75 and join QDMA.
The point is, I understand brand loyalty, but I also understand, cost management too, and expenses and things like that. And
Burning money?
I mean, it literally just doesn't make, I don't know. I don't get it, but maybe it's because I'm too close to it. I see it every day.
You're right. We this is what we do. So we do get, fired up. It's a little personal to us, but hey, I'm not going to apologize for that.
No.
If as a hunting industry, if we're all in this to recruit hunters, then we should all be in it to make it easier, more affordable
Right.
to enter the sport. Is everybody doing their part? We are. That's all we can control.
That's my biggest takeaway is I think we get fired up about this just because we understand how much work has gone in to be able to set up our structure like this and to be able to offer these things and keep our insurance costs down and not have hidden fees and not have additional charges. There's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of negotiation you have to do with our insurance partners. There's a lot of work that goes into our web team that has to develop the online process, our marketing team, the guys to put out the messaging out there. There's a lot of moving parts that go into it. And we're just proud of what we're doing.
Right.
At the end of the day, I think that's what it is. So, I'm not ashamed to talk about it. And, we've never really mentioned any competitors by name before. I think we're just kind of having one of those days where it's just like,
Yeah.
hey, what's going on here?
Right. Let's have the conversation.
Yeah.
So, enough about the hunting lease insurance. We're going to wrap things up here in the next 10 or 12 minutes. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the trade show. We're going to the Texas Trophy Hunters Trade Show in Fort Worth, Texas in 2-3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, August 9th through the 11th. Trade show season for the hunting industry is January, February, March. It doesn't work for us. Most of our members join or purchase policies or do any of that work in July and August.
Yeah.
So to go to a trade show and spend a bunch of money, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
And that's just an expense. Frankly, as members, you don't want us spending because we're trying to keep expenses down. Texas is a big state for us.
Yep.
Hunt clubs, guides and outfitters, all down in Texas. We do a lot of business in Texas.
I just can't wait to go, man. I'm excited to go.
So we're going to be there August 9th through the 11th. Please come by. We're in booth F920. If you remember that, you come by our booth, mention the podcast, we'll give you a hat.
Yeah.
Seem fair?
Yeah. I think that's more than
time.
fair.
Yeah.
And I still got to get my hands on a cowboy hat to sport at this show too. I know you think I'm probably joking, but I'm not.
I think you're kidding.
Okay.
I've seen you in a baseball hat.
Yeah.
They don't make flat build cowboy hats.
Dude, I'm good rocking the traditional style.
All right. What else we got? Yeti giveaways. You want to talk about that?
Sure. Everybody who purchases a hunting lease insurance policy here until, what did we decide, the end of July?
At least
through the end of July.
Yeah.
So every Friday, Bobby will come into your office and do a live stream. And we had on Facebook, and we had Bob, one of our web developers, create a cool little gadget where literally you just hit a button and it randomly picks a name of someone who's purchased a policy this year.
Right.
And we send them a Yeti. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yeti right there.
If
you're watching, it's a Hopper 230.
Hopper 230.
Let's
awesome.
mention Yeti real quick because from the day I got here, an email was all it took, and explain to them what our mission was, what we're attempting to do, what's important to us, what our vision was, and they were on board immediately.
Year after year, unwavering support from those guys.
Right, and they took a little guff last year.
We stood up for them.
We absolutely stood up for them because they've been here for us.
We lost some customers over that too.
Good. We don't need them. If that's what if they're going to leave us over something like that, and it was minimal. But
it was minimal, but
we know the guys at Yeti. We know what they stand for, and it's all good with them.
Yeah.
So we appreciate Yeti tremendously.
100%.
So good deal, Bobby. You got anything for us?
I do, yeah. I got something for you. So I came across this article yesterday about some like celebrities that you might not know hunted,
Okay.
and I was looking through the list. I'm like, oh, you know what? I didn't know these people hunted. So I figured I'd pull a few for you guys, and then added a few on here and see if you guys can figure out which ones do and do not hunt.
Do and do not.
So I
okay.
added a few that I don't.
So there's some
there
fake
are
ones
some
in
fake
there.
ones in here. So I'm gonna go
Lady
through these.
Gaga. I don't think she does, even though she wore a meat dress. All right, lay
All
one.
right. So here goes one. We got Karl Malone, the basketball player.
Karl Malone.
You guys think he hunts?
I don't think so, man.
Absolutely, he hunts.
No way.
Yeah, he's from Utah. He's a big old farm boy.
Yeah, he hunts.
He does?
Yep,
Yeah.
he was on the
Wow,
list.
I figured he'd be too old.
Also,
at this
by the
point.
way, I've stood next to Karl Malone. He's not 7 foot tall. He's only 6'11".
It doesn't matter.
Giant human being.
After you get over like 6'9", it's all the same.
He's the largest human being I've ever stood next to, and just because he's wide, he's
I got courtside
huge.
seats to a Spurs Pacers game one year when Duncan was still in the league.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that.
Would you want to be
before.
that tall?
No,
Oh my God, I'd do it in a minute.
no way, man.
Yeah.
I don't mean this disrespectfully. You're a freak show at that point, and I don't want people staring at me all the time. So
Fair enough.
All right. So I've also this one should be an easy one. Chris Pratt.
yeah.
Yeah.
He did the whole thing where he only.
He's taken
what he
some
killed.
heat for how much he's kind of pro hunting. He's taken some heat online. I've seen that.
Yeah,
How do you-
only
I think
because when you're a celebrity in a place like California and you're one of the bigger ones, I think there's a notion that you should just be liberal and against anything that would traditionally be a conservative ideal, which I don't know if hunting is, but I think people associate it with conservative ideals more
Snowflakes, man.
than normal.
Here you go. This is real quick. One of my daughters went on a mission trip to Africa a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
She started her own little podcast not long ago, and I said, "You should." She mentions that she went to Africa, and I said, "But you didn't mention what you did there." And she's like, She's like, people frown now on people going to Africa to help. It's like they think it's just kind of a buzz.
It's like grandstanding almost.
I'm like, you
don't know if
went
that's
to
the right word.
Africa on a mission to help orphans.
It's
and people are looking down on you for that.
it's
awful.
unfortunate, but
That's
it's
crazy.
it's true.
Yeah, that's
All right.
nuts. Lay it on us.
You should know this one, Sean. Eddie Vedder. Is he a hunter?
No,
I don't think Eddie Vedder hunts,
No.
does he?
No, he does not.
No.
No, he is not on
that's
the
too
list.
bad though, because that dude can sing.
All right, here's one.
We disagree about that, by the way.
How about Jewel, the singer Jewel?
Oh. I don't know anything about Jewel, so I'm
She's
going to say
m-
no.
She's married to a rodeo guy, so I'm gonna say she does. But I can't get past the fact you said Eddie Vedder can't sing.
I
I
just
blacked out.
sorry. Sorry.
Jewel does hunt.
She
yes.
does hunt.
Yes, and actually,
she hunts or she has hunted with her husband?
no, she grew up hunting.
Oh, okay.
So
Perfect.
I'm assuming she probably still does. But
Nice.
The article
Yeah.
said she grew up
Are you
hunting.
going to have like pictures and stuff?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna
We ought to reach out to
Yeah.
these people, by the way.
Yeah, that'd be
See if
cool.
they
Let's
could
do
guess
it.
on a podcast.
Yeah.
Get Jewel down here in
Well,
Indianapolis.
Jewel's going to be like, "No, you're an idiot cuz why would you assume I don't hunt?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
All right, here's another Tom Brokaw.
No.
I don't believe that he hunts.
He actually does.
God,
he is a
Does
hunter.
Tom
yeah.
Brokaw's a
Yep.
hunter?
You're not going to do
He's
the
a hunt-
ticker thing with how many we get right and wrong, right?
No,
'Cause
not
I'm
on this
embarrassed
one.
at this point.
Okay.
All right, okay, here's a easy one for you. Ricky Gervais.
Oh.
Oh man.
No, he definitely doesn't.
Okay, I'll say no, but
No, he's the most outspoken.
oh, he is. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a PETA guy.
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
But he's a conservative.
He wears leather.
But he's a conservative Republican.
He wears leather.
And I think he's mostly against trophy hunting,
Yeah.
but also he just doesn't like hunting in general.
Yeah, but that's a
He's
slippery
more-
slope because what
There's-
becomes
there's
trophy.
no varying degrees of killing
Right.
an animal. You did or you didn't, and,
Right.
and we can get into what's a trophy. So
All right, and then the last one here for you is Eva Longoria.
lived in San Antonio.
Yeah, but she married a French guy.
Spurned wife of an NBA player.
No.
Hold on. Who's
No,
the-
he's trying to trick us.
who's
He's
is
giving
Evan
us all these
Longoria? Wait,
names.
hold on. Is Evan the Longoria that plays baseball? Is married
Evan.
to Mia Hamm?
I don't know who he's married to.
I think he's married to Mia Hamm. He'll know.
You think the brother and sister are named Evan and Eva?
I think she does.
No, I'm going to say no because
I think she does.
he's conditioned us. He knew I would say no to all these
He's not
things.
going to end it in a hunting podcast on somebody who doesn't hunt.
Ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she definitely does hunt.
Really?
She was quoted in an interview saying that she could do anything from a rabbit, a snake, to a deer.
That's awesome.
She can
You know what-
skin all those. So.
That is awesome.
You know what actually I like about this game now is something I should know. But don't judge a book by its cover. Really, that's what it is. And it's nice that there are people who of that stature, of that status in the public eye who are pro hunting. It's good to have
It is.
people on your team. So
I agree.
No, I'm encouraged by that actually. I sucked at that game, but I'm encouraged overall.
You get better.
A lot
Yeah.
of those were tricky. I when I was going through the list, I was like, oh, I would have never guessed that, but you're right on that.
Cool.
Alrighty, that's all I got, man. If you're going out over the this coming weekend or in the next couple of weeks, please be safe.
Yep.
Be smart. We want you to get to hunting season. We'll come back with a podcast here probably next week. And hopefully my voice is back to being a little bit normal.
Cool.
Sound good?
It was a good one.
Right on. Thanks,
See ya.
everybody. The American Hunting Podcast is brought to you by the American Hunting Lease Association. Everything you need to enjoy a safe, successful, and affordable hunting lease all in one place. Resources like the Secret to Hunting Private Land ebook and the Front Porch Kit, both free to download, to time-tested, attorney-approved, customizable lease agreements, and of course the most affordable hunting lease liability insurance policy you will find. Protect your landowner, yourself, and every member of your hunt club with the AHLA's complete risk management package. The American Hunting Lease Association, better coverage, better service, all at a better price.
The American Hunting Podcast is brought to you by HuntStand.com and the HuntStand app. Build detailed maps of your hunting areas, view and share your hunting area maps with their revolutionary online mapping technology, and use advanced tools that let you examine and understand your hunting area. Then print your high-quality, fully customizable map on several types of materials. Download the HuntStand app or print a map. Visit HuntStand.com. Start mapping now.